Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is
Dana?
Gail Hurley, and I work for the Connecticut State Library Division of Library Development. And I want to welcome you to another one of the workshops we have in the Lead Your Library Core Competency series. And this one is on new library construction, a branch manager's perspective. And I'm very pleased to have back with us Diane Brown. Diane's the branch manager at New Haven Public Library's Stetson branch, and she also has her own consulting business as well, Urban Librarian Consulting. So we're very pleased to have Diane, and she also put her contact info in the chat. And I'll let you just take it away, and we'll probably save questions to near the end of the workshop. So thank you.
Well, I don't know if I can add questions on this thing. I don't know.
Hello. So we're going to actually save questions to the end. So I'm going to get started. Gail, can you hear me? Is everything okay?
Yes, I can hear you. And if everybody else could mute themselves, I'll try to go through and mute people if they're not. But if you could do that, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm going to begin now. As Gail said, my name is Diane Brown, and I'm the branch manager of Stetson Library, part of the New Haven Free Public Library system. And I've just completed a construction process that took many years. So I'm going to walk you through that project right now. So we're going to begin. So I'm going to start to let you know that Stetson Branch Library is one of 5 branches in the New Haven Free Public Library system. And the branch that was just constructed, brand newly constructed, is not a standalone library. It's a part of a project. And as we go along, you'll understand a little bit more about the partnership and what that project means. So I'm going to start here. Founded in 1924, the Dixwell Community House is one of the oldest African-American settlement houses in America. It provided much needed recreational, educational, and social services to the community. Since closing in 2003, Stetson Branch Library has stepped in and served as a much needed community center and hub for the Dixwell-New Hallville neighborhoods. Dixwell-New Hallville neighborhoods are 2 neighborhoods that are part of Stetson's service area, the 2 most highly populated African-American neighborhoods in New Haven. When I became the branch manager in 2006, I intentionally sought out programs to deliver to the community because the Dixwell Community House is located directly across the street from the former Stetson Branch Library, and there was a void there. So the programming that began at Stetson Branch Library when I became the branch manager was an attempt to fill some of the void and some of the need that was lacking because the Dixwell Community House had closed down. This is the former Dixwell Community House. This is here a picture of it at the top, and you see all the land that's in front of it. The photos on the left and the photos on the right. This is the former Stetson Branch Library. So starting in 2012, the New Haven Board of Alders, they approved $40,000 of capital dollars to assess that Dixwell Community House building that I just showed you. A year-long study concluded that the building was to be torn down and a complex would be constructed to house the following. Total square footage was 54,000 square feet. It was going to house the new Dixwell Community Center, Stetson Branch Library, the Dixwell-New Hallville Senior Center, and a Cornell Scott Hill Health Center. A Dixwell Q House committee was formed, and it was made up of all the 4 partners above. The estimated cost at the time for the entire project was $13.5 million. In 2013, architects began bidding and presenting design proposals. Meetings began with my director, my deputy director, and I. We were proposing a 13,000 square foot library where the current or the former, which I'm still in the former, what's supposed to be the former, but it's the soon to be former space, was 7,650 square feet. So it almost doubled in size. We knew right away that we wanted an open floor plan. We wanted sliding doors for private space. We wanted movable, collapsible furniture. We wanted all the latest technology, including self-checkout, laptops, smart boards, etc. On the first level, we knew that we wanted to have it for youth and family space only. That would have a children's discovery space, 2 large rooms with sliding doors for program separation, tutor room. The second level would hold adult and teen spaces. That space would have a maker space, teen lounge, community conversation space, and a learning space. In 2014, Governor Daniel Malloy and Mayor Tony Hart, former mayor of New Haven, announced that the State Bond Commission approved $1 million for planning and demolition of that Q House site that I showed you, Dixwell Community House. Those words are interchangeable, so it's Dixwell Community House, or if I say Q House, I'm speaking of the same building. The Dixwell Community House Committee, the committee that was made up of all the 4 entities, voted to select local architects Regina Winters and Kenneth Borenson to design the sketches for the building. The architects unveiled preliminary sketch of the project in a community meeting. The new estimated cost of the building, entire project, $14.5 million, another million. Estimated cost for the library space was $9.2 million. Same year, a press conference was held where Daniel Malloy came in and quote unquote with the check for the $1 million. And this is the first rendering that we received of the architect. And this particular architects were approved by the committee. They were the lowest bidding for the city of New Haven and other places you have to bid. They were the lowest bidders. And we also liked the plan. So all 4 partners voted for these 2 architects to work on the building. 2015, the Dixwell Community House begins to meet once per month to discuss and manage the project. So the committee, the Dixwell Community House Committee, is made up of all 4 individuals: the Senior Center, the library, the Hill Health Center, and the Q Houses, all 4. We began communication with the mayor's office and the Board of Alders. We monitored the architect's demolition and the construction timeline. We conducted ongoing community meetings to get input from the community and to keep them updated on the project. We discussed and planned the role of each partner in the complex that was going to be in the complex. We monitored project funding, and we developed governance bylaws and guidelines for the partners, how we would all function in that space together as a whole. In 2015, we went for a state library grant. The director, the deputy director, and I met to discuss the state library construction grant. We reviewed the timelines and guidelines of a Category 1 project. Put together an advisory committee for Stetson only. This is not the full 4 people on the project. This was just for Stetson Branch Library only. We scheduled bi-weekly meetings. Our first advisory meeting, we had Dawn Laval and Tom Newman from the State Library. They did a grant overview and timelines. They talked about strategic plan. We talked about focus groups. We talked about community needs, assessment, committee assignments, and next steps. We sent a notice of intent to the State Library for the grant. The grant needed to be fully completed and submitted no later than September 1st, 2015. The focus groups were facilitated by Dawn Laval per grant guidelines, and we also had an impact survey. Dawn ran a Stetson community focus group, a Stetson community at large group, a Dixwell district management team meeting, Stetson youth and young adult services focus group, and New Hallville district management team. Those are the 2 neighborhoods. I can honestly say that the focus groups, I'm born and raised partially in between both of these neighborhoods. So I understood over the years of what it was going to be to work within these communities and what were the needs of the people in the community, starting from the youngest to the oldest. And Dawn's findings just confirmed what I had already known as the branch manager, and her findings also helped me to enhance my understanding of things that maybe I didn't have enough detail. So they were very, very helpful. And she also ran a focus group for children's programming and services. The results were compiled from the focus groups that Dawn had and the impact survey that we put out. I just want to say really quickly, in these focus groups, there was a series of exercises, questions, questions being asked by the community, questions being answered on the other end. I was not allowed to be, or our library staff, we were not allowed to be a part of these focus groups. It was for the community to actually be honest and state exactly what they were looking for this new library to do. The Board of Alders approved the State Library grant application, and the State Library grant construction grant application was submitted. When these things, the way City of New Haven is run, we have a Board of Alders that votes on everything. So in order for this State Library grant application to be submitted, it had to be approved by the Board of Alders. They take it for a week or so, they comb through it, they look for any mistakes, they look as long as it follows the city guidelines, and that's the process of this piece that it had to go through in order for us to submit. In November, a few months later, the State Library Board notifies the New Haven Free Public Library of a $1 million award, so we did get the grant. In 2015, the grants guidelines, one of the stipulations was that the New Haven Free Public Library needed to raise matching funds. The New Haven Free Public Library Board of Directors and the New Haven Free Public Library Foundation Board both launched fundraising campaign to raise $2 million for the new Stetson. New Haven Free Public Library requests to the Board of Alders to add projected operating budget for the new Stetson to the general budget. At the time, there are a few things that happened that slowed the project down, but the projected budget was for full-time employees, full-time and a few part-time employees, because we're going from, we're almost doubling the space and we're going to be on 2 levels. So we were going to be in need of more staff. So we have to go before the Board of Alders to give them a projected budget so we will be able to make those hires. 2016, Governor Daniel Malloy gets approval from the State of Connecticut Bond Commission for $14.5 million to construct a new facility. That's the entire facility. Architect, the lead architect, Regina Winters, she died in 2016. In 2017, demolition of the former Dixell Community House property takes place just after New Year. That's the building that I showed you earlier in the slide. So that demo began 2017, the new year. The New Haven Free Public Library Board announces that they raised $1.5 million since launching the campaign in 2015. New Haven Free Public Library announces that they are looking to raise an additional $2 million funding sources. This is what it boiled down to: $5.3 million from state bond funding for construction and architecture, $1 million state library grant, $900,000 capital funding, and 2.1 raised by both library boards. These are photos of the demolition. You'll see up in the corner, that's a picture of the former Mayor Tony Hart with the one of the leads of the demolition. Stetson branch, this is the press conference where we were seeking to raise $2 million for new construction. Elsie Chapman was the president of our ATRIUM board at the time. Very instrumental in raising millions of dollars for the new Stetson Library. 2017, a press conference was held to unveil the final project plans. Project gets delayed. Principal architect Regina Winters, I told you she had passed in 2016. The original drawings that she had drawn that I showed you had to pass through probate court to be used. The discovery of a subterranean easement for utilities in the former site was founded, and that held the project up for a few months. Groundbreaking ceremony. So we have a groundbreaking ceremony, and as many of you will know, a lot of times these things will happen. You have many ribbon cuttings and many groundbreaking ceremonies, but this actually took place the actual ground was breaking at the time that this was a real groundbreaking ceremony. And we have some people here from the community. The individuals with the shovels are individuals that were part of the committee, or politicians that helped get the money through. We have Elsie Chapman again down here in the lower right corner. The president of the Patrons Board. We have the mayor in the middle. We have the Hill House High School band and cheerleaders came out for the celebration. Very, very big community celebration. 2018, students from James Hill House High School located in the Stetson service area donated $200 to the Stetson campaign. These small contributions are important because these were individuals. I only captured a few. These are individuals in the community. While they did not have much to give, this branch, Stetson Branch Library and the Dixville Community House are so near and dear to the hearts of many families for generations, that many people in the community gave as much as they could, even if it was $5. Recording artist Morris Pleasure returns to New Haven to do benefit concert for Stetson campaign that raised $3,000. A world-class drummer, Jesse Hameen, a New Haven native, came back to play a benefit concert that raised $4,000. We have 40 preschoolers from Harrison Tucker School in the Stetson service area. They raised and donated $110 to the Stetson campaign. Several churches located in the Stetson area collectively donated approximately $3,000 to the Stetson campaign. City Plan Commissioners sign off on the final plan and design. Construction out for bid. At the time, the construction was estimated to be completed. The duration was 12 to 15 months and was to be completed at that time in 2019. That did not happen, and you'll see as I move forward. These are some photos from the community fundraising. That's me up in the front in the middle, thanking individuals. We have the flyers off to my left of the two benefit jazz concerts. The lower photo with the people there. Each event was packed, was sold out. We have the children at James Hill House High School at the top, on my right, and on my lower right to my screen. Those are the children from the daycare that came to bring us a check. The final exterior plans, nothing changed from the initial exterior plan that I showed you that the architects drew initially. The community loved it. It's approved by the city, the Board of Alders, the director, everybody approved it. All 4 individuals in the building space approved of the final exterior plan, so that did not change. These are some final Stetson floor plans. You can't really see them, but these are the floor plans that I actually sat with the director, deputy director, and the architects to draw these plans. 2018 was the beginning of a series of meetings with the architect and interior design team alongside of the city's engineer, the library director, and myself. So Ken Borrington is the architect that was left. As I said earlier, the other architect, she passed away, and we were able to use her renderings, and this architect just took over the project, and we began to sit down and really look at the design to get more detail. This is interior, we wanted to keep as much of the furniture mobile for flexibility and space. That meant bookcases, nesting tables, stacking chairs. We wanted everything to be able to move. We were looking for African themed textures and colors, ceiling variations. We looked at self-checkout stations. We looked at sliding doors for open space and privacy. We wanted all non-porous fabric for seating. Staff work area for 5. We no longer had a smaller staff, so we wanted an entire lounge area that would be able to house all of the staff. Laptops, Chromebooks for patron use in and out house. We have very few hardwired computers, desktops for the public in this new location. Like it says here, there'll be checkout laptops and Chromebooks. You can check them out to use in-house or out-house. 2019, The mayor signs construction contract with the lowest bidding construction company. Mayor hosts another press conference. Construction begins. Stetson staff begins weeding through 22,000 items. That's the amount of items that were in the former, what would be the former location. New director was appointed, the New Haven Free Public Library, same month, same year, the end of 2019. So there was a changing of the guard. The other individual that helped to work on the construction project that worked for the New Haven Free Public Library, that was a part of the admin team, had also moved on to another position. So it was basically me. I was the it person. And I'm very fortunate to have been the person that was following this project all along, because if not, there just would have been so many holes, just a bunch of paperwork with not a lot of explanation behind it. So I'm very grateful that the former library director did have me at the table from the beginning. This is Mayor Tony Harp, who's signing the construction grant. This is the mayor's press conference, another press conference where we're talking about the plans are final. That's the mayor at the top, on my top left. These are some people gathered up at the top. Those are just the plans that were out on the site. And that's me speaking to the community at the press conference. In 2020, we had COVID shutdown, March 2020. We were in the middle of weeding at the end of 2019, Thanksgiving, December. We had begun weeding into January, February, and then we shut down in March. So from March to May of 2020, I worked from home to begin looking for titles and new programming ideas for the new library. In May of 2020, myself and the children's librarian, we were the first to return in the entire New Haven Free Public Library system in any branch. And we assumed weeding the entire collection at Stetson because we were starting to get behind. I was still driving by to look at the construction site, and they were still continuing to work on the construction site. But at the time, materials started to slow down because of COVID racing through the world. So things were starting to slow down. By June, it was a visible construction site. I renamed the African American collections throughout my branch. I changed the name from African American Collections to the African Diaspora Collection because every book that's by or and about Black people, all Black people are not African American. So I wanted to include Black people from around the world. So I changed the title to the African Diaspora Collection. I researched and met with a private bookseller, Paul Davis, to begin building opening day collection. Baker and Taylor did not have the titles that we were looking for. Moving forward, we were trying to build out the African Diaspora Collection. We have several universities in New Haven. We have Yale University, Quinnipiac. We have Albertus, Magnus College. So we have so many educational institutions in New Haven alongside of the residents and the New Haven public school system that really use our collection and our African diaspora titles. And we were looking for newer titles. And Baker and Taylor, as the years went on, just did not have the titles that we needed. So I began searching and seeking out other individuals that can give us the materials that we were looking for to help to build this opening day collection and beyond. The staff and I completed the weeding in August. So we weeded the entire branch down from 23,000 items down to 15,000 items. In October, same year, I reached out to Ingram Publishing to discuss their selections. I worked closely with tech services to work with new vendors that included cataloging, pricing, processing, in-house and out-house. So we had to begin with Ingram, as we had done for many years with Baker and Taylor. We had to begin to meet with Ingram online, discuss how we were going to process the books. We discussed pricing. We discussed a little bit of everything. And I, at one point early on in my library career, I did work in cataloging services, but things have changed over the years. So this was also an opportunity for me to learn a little bit more of the updated tools and things that are being the processes for cataloging books. This is the construction site. We were right across the street, so it was easy for me to go across and take photos. This is me actually sitting in the trailer on site with the construction foreman. He's walking me through. He's explaining to me a little bit about the sidewalk here. He gave me a hat, and in my hand, there's some metal that actually was used, a piece that he cut off from that was actually used one of the beams for Stetson Branch Library. This is the tower to the front of Stetson Branch Library. Again, I'm still at the construction site. This is a rooftop deck on the senior side. So our library, you go out of a door and you can go over to a rooftop deck. There's a door leading there that goes out into the deck, and that's the seniors. We plan to do a lot of intergenerational programming with the seniors there. Again, on the construction site. So the total collection budget was $245,000. That money was raised by the library boards. I supervise collection, the collection selectors from around the New Haven Free Public Library system to order items for the opening day collection. So we had individuals that were good at ordering 700s, 800s, 600s. So those individuals were under my supervision from around the system. We would get a list of books from Ingram, and they will go on, they would select those titles, and I would have to review to make sure that the orders were put in correctly, and then those orders would be passed on to tech services for processing. So phase 1 book ordering was completed in May, and then we had phase 2 book ordering was completed in September. So to date, we've ordered close to 15,000 items. We have not spent all the money. The books are being delivered here because because of COVID, we did not get our shelving that we needed for the books to go into the new, to be delivered to the new space. So some of those books are being delivered here to this site, and we will then have a company is going to come and bring them across the street, and the staff and from around the system will come in, and we will all work closely together to get those items on the shelf. But we're expecting now for our shelving to come in just before Thanksgiving. In September, just last month, the Stetson branch, the Dixwell Community House, and the New Hallville Dixwell Senior Center, all the construction's completed, interior, exterior. The Hill Health Center construction is not complete. The exterior is complete. The inside of it is still much a construction site. They've had their own things that set them back. So that piece of the project is not finished. And I just mentioned here at the bottom, you see, I said no furniture due to COVID delays, expected December, January. Well, I just got the news that we will be getting some shelving in November, but our projected opening day now is February 2022 for Stetson Library. And I said this already, we are hiring a company to pack us up and deliver us into the new space. So here we go. After many, many years of waiting and hard work and true labor of love, this is the main entrance of Stetson Branch Library. This is the circulation desk. This is on the lower level. This is part of the children's area. This is a part of the programming space for children. There's a door that separates those two areas. This is all the book space for children where the bookshelves will go. This is the upper level. On the upper level, as I said earlier, houses the teen and adults. So some shelving is up on the second level. This is the maker space located up on the second floor in the adult teen area. This is the upper level atrium. I showed you a photo of what it looked like on the outside, the construction. This is what it looks like on the inside. There'll be some soft seating area here where people can actually sit in. It's very sunny, it's very bright. Where I am now, I'm located in the plaza, and there's not very much natural light in the space that I'm in now. And these doors here, those are Those are whiteboards. You can actually write on those boards, and actually those actually slide around. So that could becomes an open space. This is what one of the bathrooms look like. Myself and the library director, we picked the whole entire color scheme. And here we are. So on this Saturday, October 30th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., there will be a ribbon cutting. The photo that you see here up in the top, that's the Dixon Community House entrance. The photo that I have was the library entrance. So everybody has their own main entrance. And once you get into the building, then there are a series of doors. We will have key cards that people will go through to enter from one space into the next space. So that's the new Stetson Branch Library after many years. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Diane. That's quite a project and a lot,
long
very,
time.
very long time. And you have to wait a little bit longer, looks like. Why don't we open up, I guess, to questions? If people can either put questions in chat, or if you want to, you could, I suppose, also unmute yourself and ask a question if it's easier. Does anyone have questions about the process? Oh, here we go. Do you have any advice for those of us in the process now, or anything you wish you knew ahead of time?
May I ask, is this person a manager or a staff person?
This is a library director asking.
I can jump in and talk. Hi, Diane. This was a great presentation. I'm the library director in East Hartford, where we broke ground on our own branch renovation last week. So we're in the early construction phases and looking at establishing programming for the space and collections and choosing furniture and all that stuff.
So my best advice would be, you definitely need to find out what are the needs of the community. What is the community expecting of this space, and match that with your expertise in your staff as librarians and other staff, and say, okay, what makes sense for this space? One of the biggest pieces, a good piece of advice I can give you is watch as much as you can. Don't just assume that people know what a library space is supposed to look like because they're architects or they're interior designers. Personally, I can tell you, I think my circulation desk is too low. My circulation desk is too low. A part of it is high, so it goes from high to low. Like, you know, you're like tall, or you're short. So there's really no between. And now with COVID, that poses a little bit of a problem because the people now are putting shields on desks. I would advise you to do not get any furniture that's porous. Hard chairs,
we're already on top of that one.
Okay, all right. I would also say, try to have not as many things hardwired. Make the space mobile, movable. Make it so you can move things around and change. That's for COVID, and that's for programming. And you just may want to change what you're doing this year, 2 years from now. It may not even be, you may not even want to do it like that anymore. In this new library space that we have, there's room for people to check out laptops and Chromebooks in-house and go to a space that you feel comfortable in. It's a little bit more, more like not do your own thing, but kind of do your own thing within the rules of the library, if you will. I think you'll get more patrons and more people participating if people weren't pinned into this little box of how they need to act when they come in the library. Of course, there are guidelines, but I think we need to give people a little bit more leeway, a little bit more room. Somebody may want to put earphones on and sit over in a corner somewhere by themselves and just be quiet and listen to some music or read a book. That should be their choice. Like I said, watch the project. I know I must have watched everything to this project. I know about some of the nails, the screws, the cement, when they had a problem with the whole subterranean thing. I just wanted to know a little bit of everything because things will catch you by surprise. And you'll go back to the site and you'll be like, oh my, why did they do this or do that? And then you're going to hear, oh, it's too late. We can't change that now. This is what's in the specs. Well, and I'm a visual person. What you show me on a piece of paper, that's my grandbaby. What you show me on a piece of paper, like when I went to the construction site, the man had to keep turning the thing around and around because I'm not like that. I have to see it. So maps mean nothing to me. You show me a floor plan and I'm just like clueless. How many feet is that? Show me with your hands, or walk along the space and show me. So you have to watch it. If you don't watch it, you're going to get caught by surprise. And all the materials that they use, ask for samples. Ask for samples and make sure. I like the doors that we have because they're on a track and they can slide open and close to create different spaces in the library. I like that. That's really going to be helpful for the programming that we do at Stetson Branch Library, divvying up the spaces for people. And if this is a branch, try to have children. This is one good thing for us. Children have their own space now. It's not a whole bunch of shh, because where I'm at now, it was the adults, the teens, and the children all on one floor. It's like everybody in the house, mom is knitting, dad is trying to watch a football game, and the babies are trying to play with their trucks in the middle of the floor. That's what Stetson Branch Library was like. Everybody, and I had to cull out little space and say, okay, you're here and you're here. So if you have an opportunity to create spaces for different groups, do that, especially the teens. Are you going to have a maker space?
No, our branch is very small. It's only 2,000 square feet. So it's the kind of flexible space that you were talking about. This has been very helpful advice. Thank you.
So you're going to have a little door you're going to have the little, maybe you can get a little slide door, or you know what they even have? They have they call them garage doors. They slide down.
Yeah. We have two floors, which is nice. So we're going to be able to split, services, split things up by floor.
And try to see if you can get them to allow you to have Chromebooks and laptops, because you save a lot of space from all these, corrals with all these computers lined up. And then you look over at some points of the day and there's nobody there. It's just nobody using them. That's just kind of like wasted space. So try to do that.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful.
Just watch. You got to watch and speak up.
Good advice. So we do have another question, but I also want to just shout out Laura Downs is here from Scranton. They had just gone through a similar thing. So she's kind of echoing, like, pay attention, read that paperwork, just really pay attention to the details and all that. And Laura, I don't know if you wanted to chime in with anything.
Diane, our communities are different, but the process is so much the same. When you said that the architect died, I felt it because we had so many ups and downs, and it was, the perseverance is really what it takes. And we changed library directors in the middle of our project too. We changed architects. We ran into issues with SHPO. The state contract thing is, my state contract is dog-eared, and it has little notes in it all the way through because, I had to go back and refer to that every single month through the, now we're into 5 years. We've gotten our state money now, and I'm still dealing with punch list things. I'm the head of special projects. So fortunately, our director kept me on as the consistent person to complete the project. And, our list is getting shorter, but through COVID, it's taken a long time to get some of those details. But absolutely, Diane, what you said, like, pay attention. And if you don't know what something is, don't be afraid to ask. They don't expect you to know what this material is, or, why does that cement look different than that cement? I've learned a lot about HVAC and all kinds of things. And it only helps in the long run because, you've got your staff has to know how to work the building.
Well, we're librarians. We can research it. Just tell me what it is. I'll go find out what it is. I'll ask somebody.
That's right. No fear, right?
No fear. If you need to talk, Laura, I'm always here. You can call me. I'll be a cheerleader.
That's right. That's right.
I wanted to respond to Maria. She put a question, advice for trying to shorten the overall timeline project. You know, I wish I had a magic wand, but I think if you do whatever you can do within your power to, may I ask Maria, are you a manager or staff person, director?
Maria's one of our consultants at the State Library Division of Library
Okay,
Development.
so the best
manages the
advice I
construction grants.
It depends upon what your position is. As a branch manager, I knew I can order the books. I knew there was so many things that I can do. So when it wasn't when things looked like they were slowing down, I was like, okay, so I'm just going to continue ordering more books. I'm just going to continue to do whatever piece that I can do. Some of it is out of your hands and there's nothing that you can do. You know, there's a couple of people that I wish I could have just shot them through the phone, but I couldn't, you know, because I had questions and people don't even answer their phone. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I think everyone involved in this project is probably just so glad that this project is over with Stetson, because I know I've been a pain and I'm just going to admit it. I've been a pain, and if I would be a pain all over again, because I just needed to know, and I'm really pleased with the finished product. So you just got to be a pain in the neck. I'm sorry. It's all for the good purpose though. So someone says, given all the potential ups and downs of these projects, sounds critical to have one staff person. Yes, there should be 1 or 2 staff people that are constantly on the project, know what's going on, report back. My director, I'm right across the street from the project. That's a blessing. My director is downtown at the main library. I would pick up the phone and call him. Did you know this? Did you know that? No, I know you do though. I'll go over it. Want me to go ask a question? So yes, you have to, it's very important to have more than one person. If something was to happen to me, I mean, there's a lot of paperwork here, pictures and paperwork that my staff and I've kept track of everything that someone could have taken my folder. But to answer those questions and those little detail things that I witnessed, things that I saw, things that should happen, there needs to be, I would say there needs to be a person and a backup person needs to be following the entire project from the beginning to the end, even when there's things that you don't understand. A great hands-on building committee, extremely helpful. Yes, yes, yes. I was a part of every committee. I was a fundraising committee. I was on the building committee. I sat on all of the committees, and the building committee, our building committee really didn't go out too much, because at that point the process was just basically already done, and it was just me and the new library director. He came in, which was really hard because he came in right at COVID. So when my director came in, you know, I feel so bad for him. COVID just slammed him right in the face. He got here in December. We were shut down in March, and thank God he was a part of our system already, so he knew. But he was very new to the Stetson project. He was in another capacity at the time. He had nothing to do with the Stetson project at all. So I had to sit with him and bring him up to speed. And of course, he was left notes on the former director notes, but we had to kind of keep it going.
I don't see any other questions in chat. Does anybody else have a question they'd like to ask? So you can type or unmute yourself to ask.
My information is in the chat box. If people, I was explaining to Gail, I know there are times that maybe there are people who don't want to ask questions with other people around. They may have a private question to ask, or they just don't feel comfortable with other people. I have no problem with you making a phone call. When people call me and ask me questions, it's confidential. I don't share, because there are times when I pick up the phone, I've called other librarians across Connecticut and asked questions. So that's fine. Any tips for, it says, how difficult is to get members for the focus group? Oh no, that was easy. Focus groups was easy. We just told the community, we're building a new library. We're looking to build a new library, and we want to hear from you so we can have your input. And this neighborhood, we had no problem. All of our focus groups were filled to capacity. That was not a problem for us at all. it says here, any tips for interacting with contractors or subcontractors? Well, when I dealt with the construction workers and the people that were over there, I always made them feel like I just didn't know. I just, I always just made them feel good about, this is what you do. I don't do this every day. I'm a librarian. Can you explain to me what this is? Like, I had a conversation about the floor, and the glass. I just asked questions. And that was my way of interacting with them. And with our project, we have a city engineer that oversees all of that. So if there was a big problem that I saw, I would go to the city engineer, and the city engineer would step in and say, the branch manager came over, there was a problem with this, a problem with that, or I noticed this, or I noticed that, we needed to talk about that. So I don't know what type of project that, it depends upon how your library system is set up in your city and municipality. Is it a private library? Is it a consortium? Is it, whatever it is, but there's usually someone over the entire project. I must have joined after that was shared. It should be.
I just put it actually at the end there.
Okay. Can you tell us again who were your community partners? Okay, so I'm assuming that you're speaking of the people that are in the building with me. Asking, can you tell us again who were your community partners? So I'm assuming you're talking about the people that are in the complex with us. So in that complex is Stetson Branch Library, Cornell Scott Hill Health Center. It's like a little hospital. It's on the back end of the building. The senior building center, and the community house, the neighborhood community house. So those are the 4 people in the building. And we work, we've come up with our own governance, how we're gonna operate. The city basically runs most of it, because the library is the city of New Haven, the senior center is the city of New Haven. And the Dixville Community House was at one point a 501c3 organization, but because it fell short of funding, that's why it closed. The city, I think, is projected to run it for 3 to 5 years until it gets itself up on its own feet, and it's going to run itself. But right now, the city is running that project.
Okay. Did I see anything else? Well, thank you again so much, Diane, for coming and sharing all your great info with everybody, and some excellent tips, and great tips from participants here too.
Yes,
so
yes.
And I said, Diane says you can contact her with questions. This has been recorded, so I will be posting a link to the recording. And then I just want to mention, if you're interested, we have the next workshop in this Lead Your Library series is coming up on November 3rd. It's Wednesday from 10 to 11:30, and that one is on community needs assessments. And we'll be talking about some of that focus group info too. For some of you that are interested, please sign up. We'd love to have you there. And then you'll get an evaluation form shortly after this workshop today. We'd love to have your feedback on this one as well. So thank you all so much, and have a great day.
Take care. Thank you, everyone.